Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a concept that sounds, well, so audacious, so utterly impossible, it almost feels like something out of a dream.
Hmm.
The idea of a 4-hour work week. Seriously, just 4 hours. You almost want to call it a scam, right?
It absolutely does sound like that, doesn't
Okay.
it? But we're here to unpack that initial skepticism. We've taken a comprehensive look, really dug into the core ideas from excerpts of the 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah, using that Norbook PDF as a key source.
Exactly.
So here's our mission today. We're cracking open this material to pull out the absolute best strategies, the mindset shifts. This isn't just about, reading a book recap.
No, not at all.
It's about fundamentally rethinking your relationship with work, supercharging your time, and chasing a life that's, well, truly free and fulfilling.
We're aiming for those aha moments, those
Yes.
practical takeaways that really shake up what you thought was possible.
Giving you a fast track, kind of a shortcut to understanding what's called lifestyle design. Let's dig in. So why even bother with this whole 4-hour work week idea? I mean, the book really takes a sledgehammer to the status quo.
It does, especially what it calls the deferred life plan.
Ah, yes, that traditional model,
Yeah.
you know, grind away for decades, save up, and then maybe, just maybe, you get to enjoy retirement.
At some distant, often uncertain point.
Yeah.
The author poses this fascinating, almost existential question that really makes you stop and think.
Which is,
Would your priorities and decisions change if you could never retire?
that hits hard. It challenges the whole idea of putting off your best life, doesn't it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
He suggests true wealth isn't just about money. It's about redistributing retirement throughout your life, making it more affordable, more enjoyable right now.
Instead of this one big far-off event that might not even happen the way you picture it.
Exactly. And the author's own journey into this is pretty compelling. He wasn't, born rich or anything.
Right. Parents never made more than $50 K combined, started working at 14, no Ivy League.
Correct. Yet he's done some truly wild things. For instance, competing in the Tango World Championship semifinals in Buenos Aires.
After only 5 months of practice. That's some serious dedication right there.
But it gets even more intriguing. He also won a Chinese kickboxing national championship
Okay.
by deliberately exploiting rule technicalities. Like, he cut 28 pounds in just 18 hours for the weigh-ins.
How is that even possible?
Apparently dehydration and then rapid rehydration. Then he'd win by just pushing opponents off the platform. A technical knockout.
Wow. That shows some intense strategic thinking. And maybe a willingness to bend the rules a bit.
Or at least challenge conventions, yeah. He talks about this realization he had that despite being supposedly one of the best in the world in his field, he felt grossly overworked and severely underpaid.
And he had this fear, this metaphor, the fat man in the red BMW convertible.
Yes, that fear of ending up like someone who spent 30 years with people they didn't like just to buy things they didn't need, looking 15, 20 years down the same path he was on.
That sounds like a powerful wake-up call. But how did that specific feeling, that fear, translate into such a radical shift? What was the mental leap?
Well, that intense dissatisfaction, it sparked this fundamental redefinition of wealth. For the author in his concept of the new rich, or NR.
Right, the NR.
Wealth isn't about absolute income, not just earning millions. It's about relative income.
Relative income, meaning...
How much you earn per hour combined with how much freedom you have. So like making $100 an hour for just 1 hour a week. That's actually not the goal if that's all you're doing.
Okay.
The new rich aim for a much higher effective hourly rate. And they emphasize that your money feels like 10 times as much when you combine it with time and location freedom.
So it's about buying freedom, not just stuff.
Exactly, which leads right into geographic arbitrage.
Ah, yeah, this sounds like a secret cheat code for life. Living like a king on far less money.
Totally. He gives incredible examples, chartering a private plane over the Andes for like $150.
Sure.
Or living this luxurious life in Buenos Aires or Berlin for maybe $1,500 a month, sometimes including airfare and lessons.
That completely flips the script on what's possible financially if you just de-link your income from where you live.
And what's fascinating here, the objective isn't just travel for travel's sake. That's key.
Right, it's not just being a tourist.
It's about achieving freedom of time and place. The travel is simply one powerful option for how you use that freedom. It's about having choices.
Having choices. Okay, so if this is the dream, how do you actually get there? The book lays out a system, right? The DEAL framework.
Yes, deal. DEALAD is for definition.
E for elimination?
A for automation.
And L for liberation.
Exactly. And it's worth noting, for employees, the order might shift slightly, more like DELA. You might need liberation getting remote work before you can fully automate or reduce hours.
Makes sense. So let's start with D for definition.
Okay, so the author challenges the vague goal of just happiness. It's too fuzzy.
Right. Hard to aim for fuzzy.
Instead, he advocates for dreamlining, getting incredibly specific, focusing on doing, having, and being goals.
Over set timelines, like 6 and 12 months.
Yeah. And the core question is, what would you do day to day if you suddenly had $100 million in the bank? What gets you excited?
What would you do if you simply could not fail?
Exactly. It's about reversing repression, figuring out what you truly want, not just what seems practical or achievable right now.
And crucially, it's not just defining dreams, but also facing your nightmares, that fear-setting thing.
Yes, you literally write down the absolute worst things that could happen if you pursue a big change.
That feels so counterintuitive. Confronting the worst to feel better? How does that work psychologically? Is it just getting it out?
It's largely about externalizing it, yeah, making the vague specific. This process often shows you that the perceived uncertainty is actually less scary than the known unhappiness you might be feeling now.
So putting fears on paper makes them manageable.
Often, yes. You realize they're not usually catastrophic.
Yeah.
Then you brainstorm solutions or contingency plans for each one. It takes away their power, transforms anxiety into, concrete problems to solve.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to that Princeton Challenge anecdote.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
He offered students a round-trip ticket anywhere if they could contact 3 seemingly impossible-to-reach people, like J.Lo or Bill Clinton.
And get at least one to reply to 3 questions.
And out of 20 students, none did it.
0.
Yeah.
It's astounding, isn't it? And the reason, they just assumed the competition would be too fierce. They didn't even try.
I psyched themselves out.
Totally. If just one student had sent 3 simple emails, they likely would have won. The lesson he draws is clear. There's often less competition for bigger goals.
Because most people aim lower. They don't even swing for the fences.
Exactly. Most people play it safe.
Wow. Okay, so that leads perfectly into E for elimination.
Yeah.
You've defined your dream, faced your fears. Now you need to clear the decks.
Right. Get rid of everything that does serve those defined dreams. And a cornerstone here is the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle.
We hear about that in business, but how does he suggest applying it to everyday life?
It's incredibly versatile. You look at everything: work tasks, relationships, time commitments. Identify the 20% of sources causing 80% of your problems or unhappiness.
And flip side, the 20% giving you 80% of your desired outcomes or joy.
Precisely. The author himself used this to basically fire his unproductive majority customers. They caused most of the headaches but brought in little profit.
Ruthless prioritization, I like it. And the distinction between efficiency and effectiveness here seems critical.
Absolutely crucial. He says doing something unimportant well does not make it important.
Right. What you do is infinitely more important than how you do it. Being super efficient at tasks that don't matter. Well, that's just wasted energy.
Exactly. It's faster ways to spin your wheels.
So a big part of elimination is this low information diet.
Cultivating selective ignorance. He suggests limiting news consumption, like max 30 minutes a week. Rely on others to flag truly important stuff.
30 minutes. I feel anxious just thinking about it. But he suggests a 1-week media fast.
Yeah, just try it. Experience firsthand that the world doesn't even hiccup if you're not constantly plugged in.
Focus on just-in-time information, not just in case. Get info when you need it for a specific task. Don't hoard it.
And he adds the art of non-finishing. If a book or article is bad, just stop reading it. No guilt.
Life's too short. Okay, so beyond information, you need to eliminate interruptions too. Email is a big one.
Huge. He suggests checking it maybe only once or twice a day, specific times like 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. PST.
And using autoresponders. How does that help?
They act as filters. They can say you only check email twice a day and manage expectations. It filters out meaningless crap and forces people to reconsider if their email is truly necessary or urgent. Puts you back in control.
That sounds, don't answer unrecognized numbers.
Pretty much. And if someone does call your cell, treat it like it's urgent, but don't let them waste your time with small talk.
He suggests those direct greetings, like, "This is Jane, how can I help you?" instead of a rambling, "Hello."
Exactly. Cuts to the chase. It might feel abrupt, but it's effective.
And then there's the art of refusal. The comfort challenge.
Revisiting the terrible twos, yeah. For 2 days, just say no to all non-essential requests. Everything that will get you fired immediately.
He shares that sales VP anecdote, the guy who said, "I am not here to make friends, I'm here to sell product."
Right. Avoided small talk, useless meetings, and was spectacularly effective. It sounds incredibly uncomfortable, though, doesn't it? Did it actually work for people? Did it backfire?
Well, according to the book, it was surprisingly effective. It forces clarity. People often respect the directness, even if it feels weird at first. And it frees up immense amounts of time.
Which brings us neatly to A, for automation. Creating management-free income, getting yourself out of the bottleneck.
He talks about management by absence, MBA.
Yeah, it's about empowering others. He gives that great example of his outsourced customer service reps. He let them resolve issues under a certain dollar amount, like $20, without needing his approval.
And it cut his email load from hundreds a day down to, what, less than 20 a week?
Something like that. Faster service, lower returns, huge time savings for him. It proves that people often step up when given responsibility and trust. Their IQ seems to double, as he puts it.
So what can you delegate? What kind of tasks?
Oh, loads. Paying bills, finding obscure products online. He mentions hunting down a Tickle Me Elmo.
Huh, okay.
Handling press releases, managing mailing lists, photo retouching, even scheduling lunch dates or sending annoying phone calls to your boss.
Wait, sending odd calls to your boss?
As a crank, yeah. The point is, if it's time-consuming and you can define it clearly, someone else can probably do it.
Okay, virtual assistants, VAs. He recommends using firms, not solo operators.
Yeah, mainly for redundancy. If your one VA gets sick or quits, you're covered. Plus, you get access to a pool of different skills.
And the cost is surprisingly reasonable, right? From just a few dollars an hour internationally up to more for US-based VAs, makes it pretty accessible.
Definitely. But he warns about pitfalls. That feeling of, my assistant is an idiot. He says it's usually the client's fault. Poor instructions.
Right, so you need VAs with excellent English.
Give crystal clear directions like second grade reading level, simple. Have them rephrase the task back to you before they start to confirm understanding.
Okay, check for understanding and request status updates, set short deadlines.
Yeah, like 48, 72 hours max. Keeps things moving.
Got it. So the ultimate goal of automation is building a muse, an automated income stream.
Right. For product selection, he says find niche markets, be a big fish in a small pond.
How do you find those?
He suggests looking at specialty magazines, martial arts, powerlifting, whatever, and see who advertises repeatedly. That often signals a profitable niche.
Interesting. And aim for big markups, like 8-10x cost.
Yeah, and a price point often around $5,200 per sale. He argues that price range balances profit with attracting customers who tend to require less handholding.
Then there's testing demand before you build anything, micro-testing or dry testing.
Yes. Create a simple one-page website, put a purchase button on it.
But it leads to an on-back order message.
Exactly. Then you use cheap online ads, like Google AdWords back then, to drive traffic and test headlines, guarantees, even product names. See if people actually click buy.
Without manufacturing a thing. That's brilliant, de-risking it completely.
It's all about minimizing that upfront risk and investment. And speaking of risk, he talks about guarantees, turning them into a sales tool. Risk reversal.
Like Domino's 30 minutes or it's free. Or Cialis's Promise program.
Or his own company's 110% money-back guarantee. He said sales jumped over 300% in weeks and returns actually decreased.
Wow. Because the product worked and the strong guarantee removed the buyer's risk. It's a lose-win for the customer.
Exactly. Removes the risk, builds trust, boosts sales.
So the end goal is this self-correcting architecture, a business that basically runs itself.
Yeah, one that bothers us as little as possible. Placing the owner outside the information flow, not stuck in the middle, using services for things like company formation, selling digital products.
Making it truly automated, leaving you free. Which brings us to the final letter, L, for liberation.
Escaping the office. Negotiating remote work.
How do you pitch that? He says frame it as a business benefit, right? Not just a personal perk.
Absolutely. Focus on quantifiable gains. I can produce 3 more designs per day without commute time and office distractions. Make it a win-win for the employer.
And start small, a trial period.
Yeah, suggest 1 or 2 days remote per week first. Prove it works, then gradually extend it. He tells that story about Sherwood.
Oh, yeah, the guy who negotiated remote work and then flew off to Oktoberfest.
While making money from his Jackson Pollock shirts muse. Drinking wheat beer and Lederhoven by getting work done. That's the dream, right? Time and location freedom.
It really illustrates the goal. He even asks you to consider, How could you work remotely if you, say, had a heart attack and your boss was sympathetic? What would that setup look like?
It forces you to think creatively about solutions.
But what if the boss just says no, even after you frame it as a benefit?
Well, the book is pretty blunt. Might be time for a new boss or to become an entrepreneur.
Or even tactfully getting fired. He suggests that you can provide severance or unemployment.
Giving you a cushion, a long vacation, to launch your muse or find a better fit. Because, as he says, it's too big a world to spend most of life in a cubicle.
That freedom opens the door to mini retirements.
Yes, which are anti-vacations, not just 2 weeks of rushing around.
But relocating for like 1 to 6 months, living somewhere deeply.
Exactly. Experiencing a place, not just seeing the sights. It's a re-examination of life, a blank slate.
Sounds incredible. How do you prepare for something like that?
He gives practical steps, 3 months out. Eliminate. Get used to minimalism. Identify the 20% of your stuff you use 80% of the time.
Sell or rent out the big stuff, car, house.
Consider it. Set up automated bill pay. Give someone power of attorney for mail or unexpected things.
Then 1 month out. Forward mail. Get any needed immunizations.
2 weeks out. Scan everything, vital ID, insurance cards, credit cards, email copies to yourself. Keep paper copies separate. Downgrade your phone plan. Set up email autoresponder saying you'll be slow to respond.
Basically, prepare for total disengagement.
And these aren't just theories. The book is full of case studies. Real people doing this.
Like the software developer working remotely from Portugal, surfing, snowboarding.
And came back with 3 times more money than if he'd stayed in his old job.
Wow. Or the investment banker who quit, built an anonymous online consulting business.
Making 2-3 times her old income, working way fewer hours, traveling to China and Singapore.
Amazing. And the family traveling the world. Kids learning piano over Skype.
Yeah, volunteering in different places, building wheelchairs in Ecuador, helping animals in Bolivia.
Even a Subway franchisee who ditched his BlackBerry addiction, crunched his work week, became a hands-on dad.
And the person who moved to Argentina works maybe 5-10 hours a week.
And now has time for Spanish tutors, gym, yoga, dreaming bigger dreams like opening a bar.
These stories really show that this lifestyle design thing isn't just a fantasy. People are actually living it.
But there's a warning, right? Once you have all this freedom, the void.
Yes. Too much free time can apparently lead to self-doubt and assorted mental tail chasing. As he puts it, subtracting the bad does not create the good. It leaves a vacuum.
That's such a crucial point. It's not just about stopping work. It's about what you fill that space with.
Right. So he emphasizes continual learning languages, skills, and service or contribution.
Giving back somehow. Building wheelchairs, animal rehab, archaeology, tsunami relief.
And he says, don't be a cause snob. Any effort to improve the world, however you define it, is worthwhile.
And full-time work isn't inherently bad if it's a true calling, a vocation.
Exactly. If it truly resonates, that's different.
Okay, as we wrap up, let's quickly hit those top 13 new rich mistakes to avoid. They really summarize the key lessons.
Good idea. First, losing sight of your dreams. Falling back into it work for work's sake, W4W. Just being busy to feel busy.
So easy to do. And mistake 2 and 3 are related. Micromanaging or emailing just to fill time.
And handling problems others can and should handle. You have to trust your team, your systems, your VAs.
Right. Don't help them with the same problem twice. Empower them.
And don't chase unqualified customers or answer emails that don't lead anywhere productive. Protect your attention.
That's a big one. Every email answered is a choice. Make it count. Mistake 7. Working where you live or sleep. Blurring those boundaries.
Yeah, he strongly advises separating your environments. Have a dedicated workspace, even if it's just one chair.
Also, failing to do regular 80-20 analysis every couple of weeks, check in.
Keeps you honest, prevents slipping back into bad habits, ensures you're focused on the vital few.
And don't strive for endless perfection. It's often just an excuse for W4W, right?
Absolutely. Aim for great on the important stuff, good enough on the rest, and don't blow small problems out of proportion or make non-urgent things urgent just to feel busy. Classic traps.
Finally, don't view one project or job as the end-all. Life's too long for that.
And maybe most importantly, value attention over time. Be fully focused on work or fully focused on relaxing or learning. Never that mushy in-between where your brain is half in the inbox.
Don't let work contaminate your free time. Be present. I love his final thought on mistakes, too.
Which one?
If you don't make mistakes, you're not working on hard enough problems. And that's a big mistake.
Ah, yes. perfect encapsulation of the mindset. You have to risk failure to achieve big things.
So this deep dive really shows that, wow, reality is negotiable in many ways.
It really is. The deal framework definition, elimination, automation, liberation, it offers a path, a concrete way to think about designing a different kind of life.
And those stories, ordinary people finding extraordinary freedom, it makes you think, doesn't it? So much of what we assume is fixed maybe isn't.
Exactly. It's about questioning the default path, remembering it's just one option and maybe not the most fulfilling one for you.
So the final thought for you listening, if nothing is impossible and almost nothing is easy, what impossible dream or bold thing will you choose to test? Maybe starting today.
Think about your own deferred life plan. How could you apply even one of these principles, eliminate one time waster, define one dream clearly, explore one small step towards automation or liberation?
Pushing past fear, pushing past conventional wisdom, something to definitely mull over.